Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Climate Dispatch. My name is Lauren Hurl with Vermont Conservation Voters, and I'm really excited to have two fabulous people with me today. And it's really indicative of a ton going on at the State House this week and really since the session began. And I will start with hearing from Kate Ogden from 7th Generation. Today was a lobby day with a bunch of Vermont socially responsible businesses. Kate, tell us, what was your message today and how did it go?
Yeah, thank you. It's still going on. It's happening right now. There's folks who are
real time.
Exactly. It's all happening live. We're here today with Vermont Businesses for Social Responsibility, VPIRG. The event's also supported by 7th Generation and also Suncommon. VBSR represents over 700 member businesses, socially responsible businesses across the state. And we are here because we believe in the power of business for doing good. We also believe that businesses are accountable for the impact that they have on people and on the planet. And so we've come today to advocate for climate action because Vermont needs climate action. Bold climate action. We need it desperately. And so we're here today to support 3 pieces of legislation. The RES, which I understand folks have heard quite a lot about lately. We're here to support the Climate Superfund bill, and we're also here to support the Flood Relief Act. The business community here has been hit incredibly hard, as have folks all over the state. And so whether it is for the businesses who were directly impacted by the flood, for folks who had colleagues, who had family members that were impacted, we believe that it is the responsibility of the entire state to support the businesses, the communities that need to recover. We also know that this won't be the last climate disaster that Vermont experiences. And so we need to support the folks who are in recovery right now, and we also need to act now to mitigate and to adapt to the climate crisis as it's happening.
Well, that is a great message and a great transition to Representative Conor Casey from here in Montpelier, my representative and someone I've had the pleasure of working with for many years in a variety of roles. And Representative Casey, you have been a real champion and leader on a number of great issues. And this year, as a hard-hit community here in Montpelier, you've been leading the charge on flood recovery and resilience efforts. Why don't you tell us what your priorities are and where they stand? And
I just want to say first off, it's so important to hear from frontline climate activists as an elected official. And really, the decisions made, in the halls of the State House do reverberate out. So it's important to have the voice heard, and I think today has been a very powerful day in doing that. I represent the city of Montpelier, and as we know, Lauren, who lives here, the aftermath of the July 10th flood was absolutely horrifying. I think we saw that climate change isn't something that's in the mail, it's something that's already here. And it took a very real and immediate toll on the residents of Montpelier and other communities. And as you said, the businesses as well. We all banded together, mucked out basements, but we saw the impact. We saw people lose their livelihoods. We saw people lose their homes. In the case of a Barrie gentleman, somebody lost their life. So we really need to invest heavily and put substantial resources into mitigation efforts to make sure we can look people in the eye and say, and mean it, that we're doing everything we can to prevent something like this from happening again. So myself and my colleagues from Barrie City introduced the Omnibus Flood Bill, which is a monster of a bill, 23 pages long, that deals with some of the economic impacts, but also looks heavily into looking at mitigation measures, whether it be working groups to bring communities together. We know for sure that floods don't recognize city borders, and it is a state responsibility to bring people together, to do some of this mitigation, and take a holistic approach just at our water basin and see what we can do in a way that's not just dredging rivers, as some would suggest, doing it in an environmentally responsible way. But I do believe the money, and it is going to take millions and millions that we invest now, will save money in the long run with the devastating damage, which, as you said, is no longer a 100-year flood.
That's right.
It could be every year going forward. So I'm really excited to work with VCV, VNRC, and climate activists to get some of these initiatives over the finish line.
Well, thanks again for your leadership. We'll certainly be keeping you all posted on how flood resilience efforts and the Renewable Energy Standard, Climate Superfund, and all these priorities are moving forward. We need to be doing it all. And our call to action this week, we always like to end with, is to please take a moment to reach out to House and Senate leadership. Both Speaker Jill Krowinski and Senate President Pro Tem Phil Baruth have come in as champions this year on climate action, on flood response and resilience. And so thanking them for making these issues a priority and kind of sticking with it as it gets harder and harder when you see the price tag and everything add up. But we have to do it, and we're so grateful for their leadership. So taking a moment to thank them. We'll be back with you next week. Thank you both so much for joining me and for all you're doing.
Thank you.
Take care.